Let me ask you something honest. You wake up every morning, you scroll your phone, you tell yourself, today I'll be different. And then nothing changes. Same routine, same results, same invisible ceiling that you just can't seem to break through. But here's what nobody tells you. The difference between the person living their dream life and the person stuck watching it from a distance is not talent. It is not luck. It is not even hard work. It's a set of small, specific daily choices that most people are completely unaware of. Today, we're going to break down exactly what those choices are. We're talking about 100 tiny habits, mindsets, and exercises that successful people quietly practice while everyone else is sleeping. By the end of this video, you will have a complete day-by-day action plan that can start changing your life, literally this week. So don't skip, don't fast forward, because the thing that changes everything for you might be something you hear in the next 30 minutes. Let's go. All right, so before we dive into the actual content, let me tell you who this is for and why this matters right now. This book isn't written for millionaires who already have it figured out. It's written for the person who knows they're capable of more, but somehow keeps getting in their own way. Maybe you feel stuck in your career and don't know which direction to go. Maybe you're working hard but not seeing results. Maybe you're surrounded by people who've given up on their dreams, and slowly, quietly, that energy is affecting you too. The biggest mistake most people make is that they wait for a big moment. They wait for the perfect opportunity, the perfect time, the perfect version of themselves. They say, when I have more money, I'll start. When I have more time, I'll focus. When things calm down, I'll chase my goals. My friend, that moment is never coming unless you create it yourself. This book and this video is about understanding that success is not one giant leap. It's 100 small steps. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't need to take all 100 steps today. You just need to start with one. So let me show you the most powerful ones. Most people think they know what they want, but do they really? Let me show you why this is the first place most people silently fail. Okay, core idea number 1, and I'm calling this the clarity trap. Here's a question I want you to sit with for just a second. What do you actually want from your life? Not what your parents want, not what your friends think is realistic, not what society has told you to want. What do you genuinely want? If you can't answer that in 30 seconds with full confidence, then congratulations, you've just discovered your number 1 problem. See, most people are busy. They're running, but they have no idea where they're running to. They're working hard, but they're working on the wrong things. They're making decisions every day, but those decisions are based on habit, fear, or someone else's expectations. Successful people do something different. They sit down regularly and get crystal clear on exactly what they want. Not vaguely, not I want to be happy, specifically, concretely, with a deadline. Let me give you a real-life example. Imagine 2 people, Arjun and Rahul. Both are 28 years old. Both are smart. Both want a better life. Arjun says, I want to be rich one day. He posts motivational quotes on Instagram. He reads books sometimes, but he has no clear target. Rahul says, I want to build a business that earns 5 lakh rupees per month by the time I'm 32, and here's my plan for the next 90 days to move toward that. 3 years later, who do you think made more progress? Not even a competition. The reason Rahul wins isn't just because he worked harder. It's because his brain had a destination to navigate toward. When your brain has a clear target, it starts noticing opportunities that are aligned with that target. It's like buying a new car. Suddenly you see that car everywhere, even though it was always there. Neuroscientists call this the reticular activating system. Your brain filters millions of bits of information every second, and it shows you only what it's programmed to look for. If you're programmed for vague goals, you'll see vague opportunities. If you're programmed with precision, you'll start seeing doors that were always there but invisible to you before. The common mistake. People confuse wishing with wanting. A wish has no plan. A genuine want has a deadline, a direction, and a daily action attached to it. Your action step right now. Take out a piece of paper. Write down 3 answers to this question. What would my ideal life look like in exactly 3 years? Be specific. Include your work, your income, your relationships, your health, and your mental state. Then, under each one, write 1 thing you can do this week to move even slightly toward it. That's it. You've just done something that most people never do in their entire lifetime. Okay, so now you know where you want to go. But here's the problem. Knowing where to go is not enough. There's something much deeper that controls whether you actually get there, and it has everything to do with what you believe about yourself. Let's talk about that. Core idea number 2, and this one is going to hit different. I'm calling it identity before action. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman, let's call her Priya. Priya wanted to lose weight. She had tried every diet, every gym routine, every YouTube challenge. For years, she would start strong and then quit within 2 weeks. Then one day, someone asked her a simple question. Do you see yourself as a fit and healthy person? And Priya stopped, because the honest answer was no. Deep inside, she didn't see herself as someone who was fit. She saw herself as someone trying to become fit. And that one word, trying, was the problem. Because trying means you don't believe you've arrived yet. And when you don't believe you've arrived, your subconscious keeps pulling you back to who you think you are. This is what successful people understand that average people don't. Before you change your actions, you have to change your identity. You have to start being the person you want to become before you have all the proof. This is not fluffy positive thinking. This is how identity actually works psychologically. Here's the thing about human behavior. We act in ways that are consistent with how we see ourselves. If you see yourself as a lazy person, your brain will find excuses to be lazy because it's protecting your identity. If you see yourself as a disciplined person, it becomes uncomfortable to be undisciplined because it conflicts with who you believe you are. Successful people have mastered the art of adopting an identity before they have the results. They don't say, I'll be confident once I succeed. They say, I am someone who acts despite uncertainty. I am someone who figures things out. I am someone who delivers results. And slowly their actions start to match that identity, and then the results follow. Now, here's where this connects to money and career specifically. A lot of people say, I want more money, but deep down, they believe that money is for other people. They grew up hearing things like, we're not that kind of family, or rich people are selfish, or money doesn't grow on trees. And those old beliefs become their identity. So even when an opportunity comes along, a business idea, a promotion, a side hustle, they self-sabotage. They delay, they overthink, they find a reason why it won't work. Not because the opportunity is bad, but because their identity doesn't match it yet. The story and analogy. Think of it like this. You know how when you get a new job, you go from being nervous on day 1 to totally comfortable by month 3? Nothing changed about the job. What changed is your identity around it. You went from new person to someone who belongs here. The same thing happens with success, wealth, and confidence. It's not about waiting until you feel ready. It's about deciding who you are and then letting your actions catch up. Your action step. Write down 5 identity statements. Start each one with, I am someone who. I am someone who takes action on good ideas. I am someone who manages money wisely. I am someone who keeps their word. I am someone who learns something new every day. I am someone who shows up even when it's hard. Read these every single morning, out loud. I know it sounds basic, but give it 21 days and watch how your decisions start changing, because your brain starts filtering the world through this new identity lens. All right, you've got clarity, you've got identity, but here's something that most people don't talk about, and it's the silent killer of potential. It's not laziness, it's not fear, it's something even sneakier. Let's go. Core idea number 3, and this one separates the truly successful from everyone else. I'm calling it the energy you carry. Here's an uncomfortable truth. You cannot build a 6-figure life with a 6-cent mindset. But here's what makes this even more uncomfortable. Most people don't even realize what kind of mindset they're carrying because it's not obvious. It doesn't show up as, I am a failure. It shows up subtly, in your daily habits, in the people you surround yourself with, in how you spend your free time, in the conversations you have with yourself at 2 a.m. when nobody's watching. Let me explain this through a psychological concept called energy investment. Every single thing you do either increases your energy or drains it. Every person you spend time with either adds to your mental fuel tank or depletes it. Every piece of content you consume either sharpens your thinking or dulls it. Successful people are obsessively aware of this. They guard their energy like money, because frankly, it is money. Your energy determines your focus. Your focus determines your output. Your output determines your results. Now, here's the thing that separates winners from average people. Average people spend most of their mental energy on things they cannot control. They scroll through bad news, they worry about what other people think, they replay arguments from the past, they stress about a future that hasn't happened yet. Successful people are radically focused on what they can control. Their next action, their next decision, their next learning, their next conversation. There's a phrase that always resonates with me. Where attention goes, energy flows, and results show. This is not just motivational talk. Researchers who study high performers, athletes, entrepreneurs, CEOs, consistently find that what distinguishes them is not just skill or intelligence, it's the ability to direct their mental energy with intention and consistency. Now, the uncomfortable truth I promised you, your environment is either your biggest asset or your biggest liability. If you're surrounded by people who complain constantly, who settle for mediocrity, who mock ambition, then I don't care how motivated you feel watching this video. 6 hours from now, their energy will pull you back down. Jim Rohn, one of the greatest business philosophers ever, said something that billions of people have quoted, but very few have actually acted on.
You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, not in a wishy-washy way, literally. Your vocabulary, your standards, your ambitions, your beliefs about what's possible, they get calibrated by the people around you. So here's the question. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with right now. Where are they in life? Are they growing? Are they building something? Do they challenge you to be better? Or are they comfortable with average? Do they discourage you when you share a bold idea? Do they celebrate your progress or secretly feel threatened by it? This is not about being cruel or abandoning people. It's about being honest with yourself about what your environment is doing to your ceiling. What the most successful people do differently. They actively curate their circle. They join communities where the people are 1 or 2 levels ahead of them. They invest in mentors. They go to events and workshops not just for the knowledge, but for the energy of people who are building things. And when they can't immediately change their physical environment, they change their mental environment. They read biographies of great people. They listen to interviews with builders and innovators. They fill their inputs with the kind of thinking they want to operate at. Do an honest energy audit this week. Take out a piece of paper and draw 2 columns.
Let me ask you something. Why is it that 2 people can grow up in the same city, go to the same school, work the same number of hours, and yet one of them struggles to pay rent, while the other builds wealth almost effortlessly? Same effort, same time, completely different results. Here's what nobody tells you. It's not about how hard you work. It's not about your education. It's not even about luck. It's about something invisible. Something running silently in the background of your mind 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And today, we're going to expose that invisible force. We're going to talk about why money flows to some people naturally and why it seems to run away from others no matter what they do. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right but still not getting ahead financially, stay with me, because what you're about to learn in the next 30 minutes might be the most important thing you've ever watched about money. Before we dive in, let's get one thing straight. This video is not for people looking for a get-rich-quick formula. We're not talking about some magic hack or a secret investment tip. This is for someone who is serious about understanding the deeper science of how wealth is created, and more importantly, why it seems effortless for some people. Maybe you're someone who works hard, maybe even 2 jobs, and you're still living paycheck to paycheck. Or maybe you're earning decent money, but it somehow disappears before the month ends. Or maybe you're doing okay, but deep inside, you know you're meant for something bigger. This is for you. Now here's the biggest mistake most people make when it comes to money. They treat it purely as a math problem. Earn more, spend less, save the rest. And yes, that's not wrong, but it's completely incomplete. Because here's the truth that science, psychology, and the stories of the world's wealthiest people all agree on. Money is not just a number. Money is energy. And energy follows systems, patterns, and most importantly, beliefs. The people who figured this out aren't just working harder. They've cracked a code that most people never even know exists. Let's break that code, one idea at a time. The invisible setting that controls your financial life. Imagine you're filling a bathtub with hot water. You turn on the tap, water flows in, the tub starts filling up. Beautiful. But here's the thing. There's a thermostat on that tub, and that thermostat is set to a specific temperature. The moment the water gets too hot or too cold, the system adjusts automatically. Your relationship with money works exactly the same way. Every single one of us has what I call an internal financial thermostat, a set point, a number in your subconscious mind that feels normal, feels comfortable. Some people have their thermostat set at $20,000 a year, some have it set at $200,000, and some, the rare few, have it set at $2 million or more. Now here's where it gets really interesting. When you earn above your set point, your brain gets uncomfortable. Unconsciously, you start doing things to bring yourself back down. You make bad investments, you spend impulsively, you lend money to people who never pay you back. You sabotage your own success. And when you earn below your set point, you hustle harder, you find a way, you climb back up. Sound familiar? This is why lottery winners who weren't rich before go broke within a few years of winning. Their thermostat wasn't set for that level of wealth, so their brain did everything it could to get back to normal. Where did this thermostat come from? Here's the uncomfortable truth. You didn't choose it, you inherited it. Everything you heard about money growing up, every conversation, every argument, every belief, got quietly programmed into your subconscious mind. If you grew up hearing, money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, we can't afford that, money is the root of all evil, those weren't just phrases, they were programs, and they're still running. The common mistake. Most people try to fix their financial problems by changing their actions, but they never change the underlying program, so they take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. They hit a ceiling they can't explain. They wonder why they're stuck.
Changing your actions without changing your blueprint is like driving a car with the handbrake on. You can move, but you'll never go fast. The practical action step. Right now, I want you to do something simple. Take out a piece of paper and write down the top 5 things you heard about money while growing up. Not what you think about money, what you heard. From your parents, teachers, relatives, your neighborhood. Then next to each one, ask yourself, is this actually true, or is this just a story I inherited? That act of awareness alone can begin to loosen the grip of a money blueprint that no longer serves you. But that's just the beginning. And if you think your childhood doesn't affect your bank account, wait until you hear what science says about your subconscious mind and spending. It's going to shock you. Why chasing money pushes it away, and what to do instead. Let me tell you a story about 2 farmers. The first farmer, let's call him Roddy, was desperate. His crops were failing, he had debts, he needed water badly for his fields. So every morning he would run to the riverbank and try to scoop water into his hands as fast as he could, running back and forth, exhausted, panicking. But no matter how fast he ran, he could never carry enough water. And the more desperately he scooped, the more water spilled. The second farmer, let's call him Arjun, also had dry fields. But Arjun spent 1 month digging a channel from the river to his farm. It was hard work in the beginning, but once the channel was done, the water flowed on its own, automatically, consistently, even while Arjun slept. One man spent his whole life chasing water. The other built a system for water to flow to him. This is almost perfectly how money works. The desperation trap. Here's something fascinating from behavioral economics. When people are in a scarcity mindset, when they're worried about money, stressed about bills, scared about the future, their cognitive function literally narrows. Their decision-making gets worse. They focus only on the immediate problem and lose the ability to think long-term. Scientists have called this the bandwidth tax. Financial stress doesn't just feel bad, it makes you measurably less intelligent in your financial decisions. And the worst part? The more desperately you chase money, the more your energy, your decisions, and your relationships all start to reflect that desperation, and it actually repels the very opportunities you're trying to attract. The analogy that changes everything. Think about a river. Water doesn't flow uphill. It doesn't force itself anywhere. It simply flows along the path of least resistance, naturally, powerfully, consistently. Effortless abundance is not about doing nothing. It's about positioning yourself, your skills, your mindset, your systems, so that value flows through you and money follows that value. The greatest earners in the world don't just work hard. They build channels, they create systems, they position themselves at the intersection of massive value and massive need. Connecting this to your life. Ask yourself honestly, in your career, your business, your daily work, are you scooping water with your hands or are you building channels? Because here's what most people do. They trade time for money. Every hour they don't work, the money stops. That's the scoop method. But the goal, the destination, is to eventually build enough channels that even when you rest, even when you sleep, value is being delivered somewhere and money is flowing back. That could be a skill you teach online, a product you create once and sell 1,000 times, a service system where your team delivers while you focus on growth, an investment that compounds while you live your life. The mindset shift. Stop asking, how do I earn more money? Start asking, how do I create more value and build better channels to deliver it? Money is always, always, always a byproduct of value, and value delivered through systems creates the kind of abundance that feels effortless. Now, here's where it gets really deep, because there's a psychological pattern that scientists call the abundance loop, and once you understand it, you'll never look at your bank account the same way again.